I was born in Edinburgh in Scotland, 1927, and my parents were George and Annie Wells. Actually, it was what they call a single end. It was one room. Everything was in that room. And you had to go out into the hall to go to the bathroom, which was shared by, I think, 3 families. Mm-hmm. But everything was in that room. You had a bed that fell down, I guess you call it a Murphy bed, fell down out of the wall, and a sink and everything, all in the same room. There were like 3 or 4 people on each level, and then there was another level. It was done by the corporation. We were right between 2 movie houses. The playhouse was on one side and the salon was on the other. Math, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe French.
Why?
I was good at it, that's why.
Can you still speak French?
Not much, no.
Can you say?
I can probably say eggs. I know what eggs are.
What's that?
Oufs.
Oufs?
O-E-U-Fs, I believe. I don't remember.
Can you say hi, how are you? Or good morning?
Bonjour. And comment allez-vous?
Okay. What kind of math? Do you remember what they taught?
Oh, in those days it was just adding and subtracting and stuff like that.
Okay.
It's only when you go to high school you get into algebra and stuff. When I was young, I read a lot. Mm-hmm. I used to sit by the fireplace and read library books until God knows what time in the morning. I don't know, I guess it took me away from the surroundings or something, but I love to read.
What was your favorite book?
The one I remember most is a book called Pixie O'Shaughnessy. And that was when I was very young. I read that over and over and over. My best friend that I stayed in touch with was from when I was about 14. But she passed away about a year ago, so. Her maiden name was Barbara Hush, and then she married a young man called Joe Dalrymple. I could have walked into her house and been at home.
Yeah.
Right away. Oh, if my mother knew half the things we did when we were out. Well, there was a canal and a wall out on the side of the canal, and a big drop. And I used to walk along that wall. And if she had known, she would have shit a brick. And I used to play on the swings, and we would have somebody seated, and I would stand, and I would, what we called, beam them up high. And then when they got up there, I would jump off and run under. Could have killed myself.
Oh, yeah?
But as for trouble, no. And I'm ashamed of this. My mother was deaf. And I could release my feelings by telling her, oh, shut up, for God's sake. She didn't hear me. The only thing is I had to turn my back to her because she could read my lips. Or I had to watch out for my brother. He was a terrible tattletale. And I remember him saying to her one day, she told you to shut up. And I said, you think if I was going to say shut up, you'd let that little tattletale hear me? And she said, no, I guess you wouldn't. I got away with it. My brother, definitely.
Is there anything you can share that he did that you can remember?
Well, he stole things. He gambled a lot and he stole money out of my mother's purse. And he stole 2 antique spoons out of a store one time over these with Patty, because she admired them, and they got outside and walking down the street, and he said, here, and he handed them to her, and she was, oh. I worked in an insurance office when I was 14.
Young.
In Edinburgh.
Wow.
Was 14 a normal
school.
age?
I left school, I had finished high school by 14, and I finished school on the Friday and I went to work on the Monday. The people who ran that office came to my school and they interviewed some of the top students to give them jobs when they got out of school. And I was picked and I got the job, so I just started right away.
That's crazy.
My family needed the money. Most of the kids graduated after 3 years of high school, which I did. But if you were going to be a doctor or something special like that, they went 6 years.
Around that time?
Hairdresser.
Did you ever do that?
No.
Why did you want to do that?
Because my family didn't have the money to let me stay at school and learn to be a hairdresser. I don't know, I just liked it. I always liked to do it. I did it for the family.
Did you?
I gave them perms and cut their hair. I cut Gordon's hair all his life.
Did she cut Eileen's hair a lot?
Oh yeah. I gave her a perm, and Eileen had a very thick head of hair. It was nice to see it permed and curly. When I cut the boys' hair, there wasn't the styles of the butch cut and stuff like that. You cut their hair in what I term as a normal manner. You know, slicked back on both sides and old-fashioned looking, I guess. I went into the RAF when I was about 17, 18, but I ended up being a clerk. Then I went to Burtonwood, and I met him there. I went out with another guy for a couple of times before I went out with him. But actually, I didn't like him very much when I first knew him. And then we started going out together. Then I was posted to Cranage, which was a unit where the men and women who had been abroad as a family came back, and they had nowhere to live, so they put them in this camp. It was like a family camp. So I was stationed there, and he said that he never had anything to do with it, but it was too much of a coincidence that he came to Carnage as well after a while. He was posted there. So we were at Carnage together for quite a while. Frankly, I think the reason I went out with anybody at that beginning was I had no money I had no spare money, and I was going out to go to the show. But he grew on you. He was one of those kind of people that he grew on you. But we spent some time in Inafi, of course, the entertainment area in the camp. And there was stuff going on in the camp all the time.
Like what?
Dances and stuff.
Did you guys didn't dance much? You didn't
He didn't dance at all.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law was an excellent dancer, and if we ever went out with him and his wife, which was my husband's sister, Andy and I stuck together and we danced.
That's awesome.
Actually, we never got engaged.
Oh, you just kind of got married?
We got married. Oh, I know what did that. He was posted to Singapore, and he naturally didn't want to go. So we got married then rather quickly, because this stopped. It let me get out of the RAF, and it gave him an excuse not to go to Singapore. She was my friend from when I started work at 14.
Okay.
And we remained friends. And then she went out, and I went out with this young man's friend. This was before I went in the RAF. And we went out together like that for a while until, isn't that funny? I could remember the movie we saw the night we broke up. It was Mildred Pierce. Do I dare say why we broke up? Because I wouldn't give in to his demands. He kept saying, nobody'll know. I'll know and you'll know. That's enough for me.
Yeah, definitely.
So that was what broke us up, and we saw Mildred Pierce that night. But we remained, so there was a closeness between us that just stuck.
What did she think about Gordon?
I don't know, I never asked her. Although she made us very welcome when we went there, because we went there after I got married. But she made a big fuss of him and stuff, so she must have thought it was all right. Yeah, we went over on the Aquitania. Well, I should say we came over the first trip on the Aquitania, which was a troop ship. It was supposed to be our honeymoon. And we were I was in a cabin with 6 or 7 women, and Gordon was 4 different men. His father was one of them. It took us 5 days. And after having the rationing in Britain, the food was absolutely fabulous. I mean, my father-in-law ate like a pig. Everything you could wish for.
Wow.
Cunard does a good menu.
Wow.
But I remember I made a bet with him, with my father-in-law, that he would get seasick before me. I bet him 5 bob. And I was determined I wasn't going to pay up that old bugger. I was going to, and I beat him in the end. But my mother-in-law got a £5 box of Cadbury's chocolate. First time we had chocolate for years.
Wow.
And between she and Sheila, they ate the whole damn box. Well, they got seasick.
Oh yeah. Sure.
We came over the first time on the Aquitania, and we went back on the Ascania, which was a sister ship. And then we decided we didn't want to be in England after all. And we came back on a Greek, what the hell, it was an F in it somewhere, not fuck either. It was a Greek ship anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I was 20 when I got married, and we'd been married I think 6 months when we moved to Canada. We didn't come to America first. Mm-hmm. Well, we landed at Nova Scotia. We sailed across there.
Okay.
We landed in Nova Scotia and we drove to Niagara Falls. My first impression was the neon lights. Everything was so bright. See, I'd lived in Britain during the war, where there was blackout and stuff like that, where the bright. And what was my favorite thing that I wanted to eat? Salted peanuts. Oh, I craved those things so much. Well, we were in Niagara Falls, Ontario for 4 years. Mm. That's where we built our house. And I mean built, literally. And that's where Alan was born. Mm. And then after about 4 years, we sold the house and moved to America. A nice day one time at Knott's Berry Farm. Mm. The kids were all there, and Doreen and Andy, my brother-in-law and his wife, were there with their kids. And they were all about the same ages. Mm-hmm. And we had a really, really fun day. New Year's Eve, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Where?
Where? Mm-hmm. In Edinburgh. Mm. Oh, we had one here. Mm. We always had a party on New Year's Eve. People would come, and sometimes they had to sleep on the floor because there were so many of them. But then we would all walk up to the parade ground after midnight and see all the idiots on the road.
Right, Edinburgh.
In Edinburgh, you went first footing.
What's that?
What they call first footing. You go around you have a bottle, and you go around all the people you know, and you first foot them. You've got to be the first foot inside the door on New Year's Day. Neighbours and friends, and you give them a drink out of your bottle, and they give you a drink out of theirs, and you have some shortbread and black bun. Then you go on to the next house. There's one thing you had to be your first foot. They wouldn't let you in if you were dark-haired. It had to be a blonde. Bad luck.
What if you? Oh, really?
That's what it was supposed to be. Cruise.
To where?
Mexico, anywhere. We had one really good cruise with Sandra and John, and we went to Morocco and Tunis. It was a Mediterranean cruise. I never did find Rick's Bar though. Well, you never watched Casablanca probably. At least half a dozen.
Yeah.
Because we would save up enough money to go on a cruise, and then we'd save up again and go on another one. And that was the best vacations that we had. The first one we went on was a Russian ship. It was called the Odessa, and it was all Russian staff. And it was a wonderful cruise. The dancers were also the waitresses. They did double duty on all of them. The time the war ended, 1945.
And where were you?
I would be in Edinburgh, I guess. Or else, when the war started, I can remember sitting on a doorstep where the living room was here, and they had the radio on, and I distinctly remember hearing them saying, "We are now at war with Germany," and that was 1939. It didn't mean much to me at that age, but it did after a while. We had blackouts. You put them up at the window, and my dad made frames with black paper so that you could put the frames up and lock them in, and that kept you black. And I used to have a dresser, and I had a bad habit of standing on the dresser to either put them up or take them down. And there was one night where there was a bomb dropped close to where we were, and my mother felt it, and she said, "That bitch is up on that dresser, she's pulled the dresser down." She thought I'd pulled the whole dresser down. Being able to create something, sewing, embroidery, and I finally made a purse that I liked. It had 3 sections in it. It came out really nice, but when Marie was there, she loved it, so I just gave it to her.
Oh no!
I don't have it anymore.
No, you should have kept it.
Oh no,
You can make another one.
Yeah. Probably a computer.
Yeah.
And everything that goes with it.
Do you remember your first one?
Oh yes. It was a Commodore 64.
That was my first one.
And we had
That's so cool.
we had one program for that. That the only one Gordon would use it, and it was a guy on a motorbike. And he'd be riding along a wall, and you had to keep him there without him falling off. We bought a television over in when we lived in Canada. We bought it in the States because we had to smuggle it back, and we put it under my legs and threw a blanket over it, and we took it back. It was only a little one, 7-inch screen, but it was black and white. But Gordon was watching television one day, and he said, "You know, you're going to think I'm crazy," but he said, for about 5 seconds, that picture went in color, and then it went off again. And I've wondered since if they were experimenting with colorizing some of the things, because he wasn't the type of person to imagine things. And that's like when he was bad in the hospital. He told me, he said, I had a funny thing when I was in there. He said, I had a sort of a dream that I was up on the ceiling and I was looking down on them working on him. And he said they were all frantically running around and everything. And he said, I was just up there watching. And I asked the doctor, I said, did he have to be revived? He said, oh yeah. He said, we had a bad time getting him back. He wasn't vulnerable at all. And I believe him when he said that, but I think that was one of the, what they call a near-death experience.
What is it?
Get out the road.
Get out of the road?
Yeah, get out of my way.
Isn't something called a randy?
A randy?
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. You're horny when you're randy.
Is that what that is?
Yeah. When we were all in England at Brenda's house, Brenda wanted to get Randy's attention. He had gone downstairs and was going to the car. She wouldn't call him. She said, I'm not standing there shouting Randy. Urwally was playing the mouth organ. And he was trying a piece of music, and somebody said, you sook, don't blow, you sook. I don't know. I've had a lot of heartwarming experiences and a lot of heartbreaking experiences. One of the worst ones, I think, was when Doug died. The death of one of my children. And that was tough. And he had been with me at the house and stuff. With Alan it was different because he was living in Texas and I really didn't see him.
Yeah.
But that was a hard one to take. That memoriam type of thing, and I was shocked at how many people loved him. You know, he was very, very popular in the JCs. And I mean, let's face it, Doug had a potty mouth. If he wanted to say shit, he said shit. He didn't mince words. But they just, you couldn't help loving him. And Patty and I used to go to Vegas once a year, usually. And he would always show up. And he'd always bring us something he had engraved. Like there's a thing with 2 sides glass, of course, and a clock in the middle, and a picture on this side, and it said, Patty and May, July 19 whatever. And he always made something for us to remember. And I've still got a lot of them. A long and healthy life. And happiness. And
good haircuts, good perms.
Yeah, I remember about our childhood when you took me to the movies.
Oh yeah, you were about, I remember that night.
She wanted to take me to the movies. And, you know, she was like 16, 17 when I was 2. So we go into the movies, she pays, you know, she didn't have a lot of money at that time. So we go into the movie theater and I sit down, she sits down, we get situated, and I said, I want to go home. She says, we just got here. You got to watch the movie. I want to go home. At 4, maybe.
A couple of years old.
I'm 75. She's 91. I can't remember. So anyway, she says, "Oh, okay," and she gets me outside, and I said, "I want to go back to the movies."
And then we got on the bus.
She was so mad,
and I was so mad. The woman across from us said she made a comment that it couldn't be my kid, and I turned and How the hell would you know who she is? And I was always so mad at her that day.
I snuck out on her and Gordon in Las Vegas one time because Doug always, her son always would take me someplace, and we were going to go off the strip and follow the dealers where they go after work.
Mm-hmm.
So we shared a room with Gordon, and there's I said, Doug, I'll meet you downstairs in a little while. So I'm sneaking by her and Gordon, and they're snoring and everything else. And in the rooms how they have those mirrors for closet doors,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sneaking like this. I went, ah! And I got busted because I saw myself
Oh my
in the
God.
mirror.
I remember that night too.
Where are you going? I said, oh, busted. Yeah, and then she found out I smoked. She was the first one.
I did.
Remember that one?
I was at her house and I was putting on a jacket of hers because I was cold or something. And I put my hand in the pocket and I felt a tab end in there, when you blink a cigarette.
Mhm.
I didn't see anything, I just left my hand where it was, but I knew damn well it was hers she was smoking.
But my mom and dad didn't know.
Yeah.
So she's in front of my mother and she puts this jacket on and it's like, oh crap, what's in here? But she was good, she protected me. My mother died and never knew I smoked.
Wow.
I was the good one.
I
I used to wait for her to come home from the service because I could get in her
she didn't
lipstick,
like Gordon.
in her makeup and stuff like that. And I used to sleep with her. And he was there. And I told him, get out of my bed and go back to your mother in Southport. And she's trying to, I think we always had a little jealousy between Gordon and because I was always her. She took me everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
She used to take me to the office, and when she worked in an office, when I was like, that table, like your picnic table,
Mm-hmm.
I used to walk right under that. And
That was a shepherd's office, yeah.
yeah, like we saw each other a lot over the years, but we were really close. Like I'd come to her house and she'd have the same curtains hanging that I did. Of course, we all shopped at Walmart.
He thought that she monopolized my time.
He was a little jealous too.
Oh, well, he was possessive. There's no doubt about it.
I think when he got sick, he kind of melted a little towards me.
Mm-hmm.
But we always had, like, I'd sit in the living room and I'd say, those orange slices are gonna, that's not good, there's too much sugar and stuff. Oh, if I die, I die. He never had anything, we always had this little friction thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day I called out my sister and he answered the phone and I said, Gordon, is May there? And he goes, yeah. He said, she's such and such. And he says, he says, I love you. And I said, I love you too. He says, no, I've always loved you. And I said, and I've always loved you. And within a year, he was gone. So
She taught you how to drive?
I took you out for driving lessons when I was driving before she learned how to drive.
Wow.
And we used to live on Portage Road, and what happens on Portage Road, you go over the bridge to the Welland Canal is underneath. And we lived, as soon as you got to the edge of the bridge, you made a little right turn into kind of a gravel place where there was like 3 or 4 houses on the road, and we lived in the last house.
Mm-hmm.
So I brought her up, and she made that immediate right turn, and I guess we came along pretty good, but when we were coming back,
She knocked the trash cans over.
I thought she was gonna hit the bridge, and we would land in the Welland Canal. Rainbow Dairy.
The Rainbow Dairies, yeah.
How did I
that was
remember
Bill.
that? That's a blast.
She was about 3 or 4 maybe. My brother was asleep. And she had, I don't know, he had given you a horse, a wooden horse, hadn't he? Or I
It
had
was
given.
a wooden chicken. You know how the pole, and then you ride the pole with the chicken head?
Yeah.
He brought me that home.
And he woke up, and I don't know what he said to her, but she conked him on the head with a chicken, and he just lay right back down again.
And he had done something to me earlier, and I never ever let anybody get advantage of me, because when he woke up, I hit him with the chicken he brought me. And my mother says, he says, she hit me with the chicken, and you must have deserved it. She was right, wasn't she?
She was right.